Welcome back to 3B Farm. I'm Mark Stewart, and today we're going to talk about seeds. Everybody this time of year is ordering their seeds. I've already got all mine in except for some that were backlogged for 2025. So I'm going to kind of go over a lot of the do's and don'ts of seeds. So stay tuned. Okay, so seeds. It saves you a lot of money growing seeds at home for your own use. And whether you're just doing it for a private garden or, I raise a lot of seedlings for sale at the local farmer's market in the springtime. So I've set up a small growing area, which we'll go into in a future episode. But I wanted to talk to you about seeds because a lot of people kind of get taken out there, and I had some people send me some stuff this year which, some seeds are more viable for a longer period of time. Some you can plant the same year that they are, come out of the plant that they came from, and they're viable, they'll germinate and they'll do fine. And the next year there's a little less of a percentage, and the following year even less of a percentage. Some seeds will only last a couple of years or so, and some will last for a long time. If my brain serves me correct, I think they found some corn in the pyramids in Egypt, which was very old. It was still viable seed. And a lot of that depends on how you package it and store it, how well you dry it before you put it away, what you're storing it in. So anyway, we're going to go into a lot of that type of a thing, and I'll explain to you how to be careful when you're buying seeds, whether it's for your own homestead or on a larger scale.
One of the main things I learned really early on is that you need to store these in a fairly decent, secure place. The first year I stored seeds and bought seeds in, I stored them in the garage in a cardboard box or something, and mice got into them and ate half my seed before I ever got to go out there and plant them. So, I learned a long time ago to at least store them in something, that's good, that nothing can get into. And this is just basically how I store all of mine. There's a lot of collected seed in here and other stuff. I did have one seed gave to me this year. These were packaged for 2013. Somebody wanted me to grow them. They're a real sweet, small, yellow tomato, but I doubt that they're very viable, and they're not something really that I want to grow, because this is just something that won't really sell at the farmer's market in the market here. So I don't know what I'm going to do with them. I do have one old package here of seeds from last year. It has a lot of herbs and a few various things that we'll go into in a while. But I'm going to separate these out and add them into the current year's seeds to try and see how viable they are. Now basically, I ordered from 4 different companies this year. I ordered a lot of flower seeds from Harris. I've never ordered from them before. They did back order a couple of things, so I'm interested in see how quick they get. American Seed Company I ordered a lot from, and they were the first one this year that I ordered from. They're very reputable, but they have good quantities of seed for the amount of money that you spend on them. But most all of them, you can see here, the test date was 1/24, so these were packaged for last year. Now there's such a large number on them that I'm sure there's some viability left in them, so I'm going to try them anyway. I ordered from the Urban Farmer. I've never ordered them from them before, but they do have a real high likability as far as YouTubers and other people out there go. And M.I. Gardener I ordered from last year for the first time, and I was very pleased with their germination rate and the quality of their seed. So I ordered some more stuff from them again this year. I've ordered from a large number of seed companies over the years, and I've never really had a lot of bad experience with any of them. But some have higher reputations, and you can count on more germination and less weed seeds in them. So just do your research when you're picking companies to order from. And I do save a lot of my own seed. I start asparagus by the bunches every year because eventually I want to plant a large field of it. And everything after I took out this year's seeds from the top, this is all stuff that I've saved. And we'll go more into that later on, because some of this is perennials and, just various crops, some flowers, some food. But some of these need to have special treatment before I actually do plant them and try to germinate them. So we'll go into that later on. Well, after I got my orders in, I went through and I checked all the orders against, the order I printed out online against them, and made sure I got everything on my order in. So just double check yourself. And once I did that, I came back and made a master list, and all 4 companies I ordered some tomatoes from. So I put all those on a list in one category of tomatoes and peppers and squash, and separated them all out so I can start to figure out how to germinate everything. So here they are, all in a big bag. These are all the orders that came in. So, like I did on paper, I'm going to go through and separate all these out into individual baggies so that I can keep together, each item as I need to propagate it. And this, just starting out with the cool season stuff, because this stuff will be started in late January. My market really here starts the end of April for cool season stuff. So cabbages, broccolis, cauliflowers, all that type of thing, I will start really early. So I'm putting all the early stuff in a baggie all by itself. And I did try to grow a lot of red cabbage last year, but really nobody bought the seedlings at the market. So I'm trying the green cabbage I grew last year, and a couple of other varieties of green cabbage as well. So hopefully the market will do better with these than I had last year. And that's the whole point of all of it. You really need to learn your market. There's some stuff that did not sell here that I thought that would, and there's some stuff that I didn't grow enough of that if I'd have had more, I could have sold tons more of it than what I had. So this year I have really changed what I'm growing to, adapt to that, to make my goods more marketable to the local market. I mean, these are all various types of cucumbers, and a lot of people want pickling cucumbers, some want slicing cucumbers, and some of these are really, really good, high-produced varieties, and some of them are a little less. There's a couple of these packets here you can see that I have written old on them, so that way when I do plant them I can keep track of the old seeds to see what the viability was on them. But I just do this with all the various types and varieties of seeds. And that way when I go to put them in my trays, all of them are similar together in the same tray, because I start tons of different seeds in the same tray and then come back and thin them into plug trays and that type of thing later on, just to save on space, because I don't have a lot of growing area. These are all the various melons, pumpkins, cantaloupes, and stuff like that I'm going to try this year. One thing I really didn't grow enough of last year was the sugar pumpkins. Everybody grows big pumpkins, but nobody really grows pie pumpkins. And what I did grow sold, and I could have sold a lot more, so I'm going to start more of the sugar pumpkins this year. I don't see the reason to compete with other people with regular pumpkins. And this just goes into the in-ground type of crops. There's beets, there's carrots, turnips, a lot of the in-ground type of stuff. I do keep the radishes out separate just because I'm going to hand sow those in little, not little, but good-sized containers separate from where I'm going to do all these. So the radishes I do keep out. But this is just all the stuff that's basically ground crops. And a lot of this I'll just direct sow instead of starting in the seed starting area when I put it together. So these are all together because they have the same type of treatment when it comes to planting. I may start a few in plug trays to try to sell the plugs, early starts for them, but most of these will be direct sown. Then I have peppers. I grew a lot of different peppers last year, especially the hot peppers, and really none of them sold. Everybody in the world wanted the Hungarian wax peppers, and I grew a lot, but I just didn't have enough. So I've got those from 2 or 3 different people. Some people asked me for these small ornamental peppers, so I ordered some of those in to play with this year to see how well they will do. They look really nice in containers if you're growing in a small area in containers. But there's, a lot of green peppers, a lot of Hungarian wax. There's some red and purple and yellow sweet peppers as well, because some people like a little color in their salads. But basically, there's just a lot of varieties of peppers. But it did change from last year. Hopefully the market will do better with the selection I've made this year. It's all a learning process. Everything in horticulture is a learning process. And climates are different everywhere. People are different. The market, everything is different no matter where you live. And tomatoes, I grew a lot of specialty tomatoes last year that just did not go over that well. So I'm growing a lot more of the large slicers this year. A couple people do really like yellows in particular, so I grabbed a couple yellows. And there's a couple of the dark, like the Cherokee purples and stuff like that, because people enjoyed those. Most people wanted beefsteaks. I sold out of beefsteaks early last year. And there's 3 different varieties of the real large beefsteaks. Few people like these cherries, and so I definitely had to change what I grew this year compared to last year. But I'm still growing a nice large assortment of tomatoes. Tomatoes are really, big in the market. Everybody grows a tomato. If you've got an apartment and a little small container to put out on your deck or whatever, you can grow a tomato or a pepper. So peppers, they sell. And tomatoes. So, there's several different types of sauce tomatoes too. I could have sold those by the bushel last year if I'd have had them. And I did have some, so I sold them. I sold out of most of my bedding plants with the sauce tomatoes early in the year, so I didn't have a lot to put in the ground to grow for the market itself. And then, then there's herbs. I like raising herbs. I do sell some at the market in the spring. Several people buy, but I like cutting the fresh herbs each week and taking some with me to the market. There's several different types of basils here. There's dill, cilantro. I have oregano and stuff, which is hardy varieties, which I have in small 3-inch containers in cold frames. So I've got plenty of oregano. The one thing I really didn't get to start was a couple of different things. Excuse me. Rosemary was one that I didn't get, that I still need to find seeds for rosemary, because that's one a lot of people use, and I don't have it at the moment, so I've still got to pick that up. But, and celery. Celery I did sell some of last year, and I bought a lot of the Utah Gold, or the tall Utah variety. And Swiss chard sold okay. I brought this real light variety of celery to see how it'll do. If nothing else, I'd like to grow it. I like the celery hearts more than I like the outside stems, and that lighter variety looks more to me like the heart part of the celery, so I'm hoping it is that way. So there's plenty of those to start for the market this year. I'll probably actually have a little too much of the Swiss chard, but I'll grow it and sell the leaves through the year in the market anyway. And spinach, I have one regular kind of spinach here. Then I have one that's called Malabar spinach, which is a vining spinach, and it has a neat little flower on it and a black berry afterwards. But the leaf is really a good taste in a salad. So I'm going to grow it for me if nobody else wants it, but I do like it. And different squash. Squash is something here that goes over real well. So I bought several different types of squash. I will definitely be able to sell the plants. There's zucchini mixed in with this as well. But I'll definitely be able to sell the plants in the springtime, but what I don't sell, I'm definitely putting it all in the ground, because the squash sells at the market through the rest of the year big time. And there are a few people that have some, but there's definitely room in the market for a lot more to be sold. So I'm going to grow tons of it this year and have it on hand to sell at the market. And there's quite a few varieties here, and some of it I doubled up. I'd order some from one company and order the same one from another company. Especially this American seed, I think it's viable after a year and a half of being old, but some of that I ordered from a second company just in case there was issues with it, so I'd have a backup. So anyway, there's plenty of squash there. I shouldn't be short of any of the different types of squash this year. That should be well covered with this pile of squash seeds. You know, and I just try to cover a lot of different stuff. This is stuff here that I just want to experiment with, and it's some things like just various stuff. There's three different types of gourds here. In the fall, we do projects for children at the market where they make bird houses and all that kind of thing. So the loofah sponges sell too, so why not grow the gourds? I love sugar peas. I grow them to take to the market, but they never make it there. I eat them all. And peanuts is something that, the old farmers in the area here used to sell a lot of. So I'm going to try those and see if they'll grow for me. So there you kind of have the very basics of seeds and how to order seeds. And, most of the information you need for each type of seed is really on the seed packet. Most of the time it gives you how many days it takes to germinate once you put the seed in. We'll go into sowing seeds a little more later on once I set up everything for my spring and get started actually putting stuff in dirt. But a lot of times the packets will give you the maturity date too, as to how many days from the time you put it in the ground to the time that you're getting fruit off of it, or vegetables, whatever you're growing. And the packets have, like I said earlier, the sell-by date or the tested date, which gives you an idea that it was packaged for this year. So if you're getting seeds that were packaged in the spring of 2024, you need to be wary of that person that's selling you that seed. A lot of times local stores out there will save seed from 1 year and try to sell it the next year, and most seed is viable for a year, but they shouldn't be doing that. They should be selling seeds that are packaged for the current year that you're going to be growing them in. And to do that is just, excuse me, but I think it's a way to scam you. They shouldn't be doing that. It should be against the law for them to do that. It may be somewhere. But a lot of the packets will give you the full size of the plant at maturity. That way when you go to plant them in your gardens too, you can figure out where things are going to block sun from other things and that type of thing as well. And a lot of it you can just learn from people that have grown it in the area that you're in. If you're the only one growing something, everything's an experiment. I experiment all the time. I'm very unconventional in that way. I like trying new things and seeing if they'll work or not work for me. And there again, not everything works for every person out there. Things that may work for you in your garden may not work for me in mine. Microclimates are different, soil is different. Depending on what you're using, if you're using fertilizers or amendments to the soil that change the pH or the mycology of the soil. Soil is a living thing. The more you disturb it, then the more you wreak havoc on the soil you're planting into, the less chance your veggies and plants that you're planting have of really having all the nutrients they need and being very healthy for you. That's the problem with a lot of factory farms. Their soil is dead. There's nothing there for the plants to take up other than chemical fertilizers that they're putting on the food to make them grow. So most of the nutrients and stuff that should be in the vegetables and plants and things you're eating from the store, they're just not there. And a lot of the food you're bringing in from out of the country is irradiated to kill any disease or stuff in it that shouldn't be, living organisms that shouldn't be there, but they're also killing all the good organisms and the thing that are there to be healthy for you. So everybody ought to be growing their own food. If you're buying seedlings from a store in the springtime to plant your own garden, great for you. But if you're starting your own seeds to start your own plants, even better for you. From the time that it germinates until you eat it, what's going into that seed. And chances are you can make it a whole lot more healthy for you that way than if you were not doing that. So anyway, thank you for sharing this time with me. I hope you've learned something, or I pick up things every day, sometimes from the least expected places.
And a lot of this is commonplace to a lot of people, but to a lot of people it's not. So, the things to look out for are kind of here. Take a note of it, and when you go looking at seeds and buying seeds, keep those things in mind. Happy gardening.